The morning sun, already fierce, beat down on Robert Evans as he surveyed the Macau Jockey Club's main grandstand. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light, piercing the cavernous interior, revealing the skeletal remains of past glory. Robert, his navy suit jacket already slung over one arm, meticulously ran his gloved hand across a rusted steel beam, the grit clinging to his fingers. This wasn't just old. It was tired, forgotten. He pushed his glasses higher on his nose, his eyes scanning for structural weaknesses, hairline fractures, the ghosts of shortcuts taken decades ago. The air hummed with the distant drone of jackhammers and the shouts of workers, a chaotic symphony he now recognized as his new reality. He felt a surge of exhilaration mixed with the daunting weight of the task. He was the maestro of this symphony, tasked with breathing new life into this crumbling titan. He envisioned the sleek lines of modern architecture rising from this decay, glass and steel replacing weathered concrete. His mind, a precision instrument, began to dismantle and reassemble, calculating the stresses, the loads, the sheer monumental effort required. He would need a team, a local anchor, someone who understood the unique intricacies of building in this volatile, ever-changing city. His reputation as a miracle worker rested not just on his engineering prowess, but on his ability to forge order from chaos, steel from dust. While Robert plunged into the architectural challenge, Mary and Tiffany explored Macau's more vibrant, intimate corners. Mary, in a cheerful green dress adorned with delicate flower patterns, found herself enchanted by the intricate details of everyday life. Tiffany, her bright red hair a beacon of energy, led the way, skipping ahead as they wandered through the Red Market, a bustling, multi-storied building vibrant with local life. The air here was a riot of sensations, the pungent aroma of dried seafood, the earthy scent of fresh produce, the sweet perfume of exotic fruits. Vendors, their voices a melodic chorus, hawked their wares, their gestures as colorful as the piles of spices stacked high. Tiffany pointed excitedly at cages of squawking chickens and rows of gleaming fish laid out on ice. Mary bought a small bunch of fragrant jasmine, the delicate scent a stark contrast to the market's raw vitality. She watched Tiffany interact with a smiling old woman selling intricately folded paper lanterns, their brief, wordless exchange bridging cultures with a shared smile. Mary recognized the subtle, quiet resilience woven into the fabric of this city, a spirit that embraced both tradition and the dizzying pace of change. It wasn't just a backdrop for Robert's ambition. It was a character in itself, slowly revealing its layers. This place, raw and real, began to feel less foreign, more like home, anchoring them amidst the exhilarating uncertainty. Later that week, Robert met Bob at the heart of the construction site. Bob, a Japanese engineer in his 40s, was the Macau Jockey Club's on-site representative, his presence a quiet counterbalance to Robert's energetic drive. There was an unspoken understanding between them, the shared language of blueprints and structural integrity. They walked the perimeter of the vast track, their footsteps crunching on loose gravel. The soil composition here is challenging, Bob stated, his voice calm, almost understated, as he pointed to a section where the ground seemed to ripple slightly. Decades of reclaimed land, constantly settling. It's like building on a very slow-motion wave. Robert knelt, scooping up a handful of earth, feeling its gritty texture. He knew this kind of instability could compromise everything, from the foundation of the new grandstand to the very racing surface. We'll need extensive piling, deeper than originally estimated, Robert concluded, his brow furrowed. It's going to add significant time and cost. Bob merely nodded, his expression unreadable. Resources are finite, Mr. Evans, especially with the new horse acquisition drive underway. The mention of horses, seemingly out of place amidst their engineering discussion, piqued Robert's interest. He had heard whispers of the MJC's unique horse lottery system, but his focus had been solely on concrete and steel. The track beneath their feet, already presenting its first major obstacle, seemed to hold more secrets than just unstable earth. As twilight softened Macau's sharp edges, painting the sky in hues of deep orange and purple, Robert and Mary found their preferred sanctuary, the balcony cafe of the Hotel Santiago, Built into an ancient fort with hundreds of years of history, the hotel offered a rare tranquility. To reach the lobby, one walked through an old, cool stone tunnel, its weathered walls whispering tales of bygone eras. On the cafe balcony, overlooking the tranquil Pearl River, they watched the distant lights of China twinkle like scattered jewels. Robert leaned back, the gentle evening breeze a soothing balm after a day of grappling with unstable ground. "Rough day?" Mary asked, her voice soft, her green dress a calming presence against the dimming light. Robert recounted the challenges of the soil, the need for deeper piling, and Bob's cryptic mention of horse acquisitions. "A horse lottery, she called it," he mused, a faint frown touching his lips. "Sounds unusual for a professional racing club." Mary chuckled, gazing out at the river. "This is Macau, Robert. Unusual is its native language." She reached across the small table, her hand covering his. "But it's beautiful, isn't it? Even with all its quirks." Below, the river flowed, ancient and indifferent, carrying whispers of history and the promise of a city about to explode onto the world stage. Their quiet moment, suspended between the old fort stones and the vastness of the Pearl River, held a shared understanding of both the beauty and the perplexing layers of their new home. The next morning, Robert cornered Mr. Costa in the makeshift cafeteria at the MJC, the clatter of cutlery providing an unusual rhythm to their conversation. "Mr. Costa, Bob mentioned a horse lottery yesterday. Could you elaborate on how the Macau Jockey Club acquires its stable?" Mr. Costa dabbed at his mouth with a napkin, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Ah, yes, Mr. Evans, our unique system. You see, unlike traditional racing clubs where horses are privately owned or syndicated, here the horses are owned by the club, and they are distributed to our licensed trainers and eventually to our racing members via a lottery." Robert's brow furrowed. "A lottery? So a trainer doesn't choose their horses based on pedigree or performance, and members don't buy specific horses?" Mr. Costa shook his head. "Precisely. It's an incentive, you see. Part of the allure, the luck of Macau. You buy a ticket, and perhaps you win a share in a horse. It decentralizes the ownership, broadens participation." Robert found it hard to mask his incredulity. "But from an operational standpoint, how do you ensure quality? Consistency? What if a trainer receives a horse entirely unsuited to their program, or a member draws a horse with significant flaws?" Mr. Costa's smile never wavered, but his eyes held a glint of steel. "That, Mr. Evans, is where the luck truly comes into play, and where the club's shrewdness and acquisition becomes paramount." The answer, while polite, felt like a veiled warning. The intricate web of Macau's gambling culture extended far beyond the baccarat tables, reaching even into the stables, hinting at a system that could easily harbor hidden disappointments. Days bled into weeks, each one a relentless battle against the aging infrastructure of the Macau Jockey Club. Robert found himself locked in a particularly fierce struggle with the grandstand's central support pillars. His initial assessments had indicated significant corrosion, but new core samples revealed a shocking reality. The steel within was not just rusted, but catastrophically degraded, almost crumbling to touch in places. The original plans, hastily drawn by an architect long gone, simply didn't account for such severe decay. His meticulously calculated timeline, once a source of pride, now seemed utterly impossible. "We can't just patch this, Bob," Robert stated, running a hand through his hair, his blue suit jacket discarded, revealing the damp patches of his shirt. He stood over the samples laid out on a makeshift table, his frustration a palpable aura around him. "This entire section needs to be ripped out, re-poured, re-steel reinforced. It's a 6-month delay, minimum, maybe more." Bob, ever stoic, examined the samples. His silence was more unsettling than any outburst. "The club's grand opening date, Mr. Evans, is fixed. Political promise, deep investments. 6 months is untenable." Robert paced, the scent of damp concrete filling his nostrils. "Then it's a structural integrity issue. We cannot compromise safety for a date." The weight of responsibility pressed down on him. A critical failure here, a collapse, could not only ruin his reputation, but risk lives. This was more than a delay. It was a fundamental, terrifying roadblock. The very foundation of his project, and perhaps his career, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. Robert stood at the edge of the construction site, the vast skeletal grandstand a testament to the enormity of his problem. The dilemma of the crumbling pillars gnawed at him: compromise safety for a deadline or preserve integrity and face political disaster. He ran his fingers over the rough concrete, a quiet fury brewing beneath his calm exterior. He would not compromise safety. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows of a nearby support beam. Mr. Chan, his driver, holding a steaming cup of tea. Mr. Chan, usually discreet, offered the cup. "Master Robert," he began, his voice surprisingly deep, "in Macau, sometimes the strongest foundations are not built with steel and concrete alone. Sometimes they are built with understanding." Robert looked at him, intrigued. Mr. Chan gestured vaguely towards the distant glittering casinos. "This city moves on whispers, Master Robert, on unspoken agreements. Even the earth, it has its own secrets." He paused, his gaze thoughtful. "And the horses, they too have their own fortunes, their own hidden strengths. Sometimes what appears a weakness can become a path to unexpected luck." His words, cryptic and layered, settled over Robert like the humid evening air. They hinted at something beyond engineering, something that required not just logic, but intuition. Was there a hidden path through this structural nightmare? Was there a secret to Macau's luck that he hadn't yet grasped? The distant neon glow of the Lisboa pulsed, a silent oracle. Robert clutched the warm teacup, his mind racing, sensing that the solutions to his structural problems might lie not in blueprints, but in the perplexing, unpredictable soul of Macau itself.